I don't understand what this is. Why did you send me this? Explain this thing. Calm down, dude. Bench Spirit was on Lex's podcast. Yeah, we'll take a look at it later. Joe Rogan had Matt Walsh on? Ew. Ew, that's so gross, bro.
I can't tell you how many people your documentaries. I can't tell you how many people have asked me if I've seen it. I think it's.
Yeah, that's a self-report, dummy. That just means like you're surrounded by fucking trans-obsessed, transphobic weirdos. Okay, that's all that means. Okay, he's like, man, all my friends suck shit. Okay. He's literally like, dude, I can't begin to explain to you how much my fucking friends suck ass. Okay? Like, I'll tell you what. I've had 0 motherfuckers in the real world come up to me and be like, bro, have you seen the What is a Woman documentary by Matt Walsh? You want to know why? Because I'm not surrounded by fucking psychos who are like, hey, what's the next agitprop I can inform myself about these mischievous demon-like trans people. Ooh, sneaky. What are they doing? Are they pissing in litter boxes in schools? Like, that's why. Anyway, here, blast off one last time. If they do ask, is so you can shit on it with them? Yeah, I mean, dude, I'm a political commentator and motherfuckers don't ask me about that shit. That's crazy to me. Weird ass people who are incredibly fucking pressed by the existence of trans people. No more bedroom voice. I can only get so bricked. What bedroom voice? Have you seen this? What? Yes, I have, bro. It's Dan Harmon talking about fascism. It's an old ass video. How do you respond to someone saying, "Oh, it's kind of woke though" as a pejorative? I don't know. There is a million different ways of comprehending what that means. Okay? Look, there are layers of transphobia, as I have talked about many different times, okay? You have like the normal transphobia that most people who have never thought about the existence of trans people have, okay? Which includes like even trans people who have internalized transphobia, you know what I mean? Because of the way that we understand gender. Okay? Gender is seen as a binary concept, is super rigid, and it's also deeply personal to our existence. That's how we've been taught. So a lot of people, like that's the default position for a lot of people, is just like, oh, trans people, that's weird. Oh, that's gross. What the fuck, right? That's usually what it is. And then if they're more empathetic, it's usually, I don't really understand it. It's kind of weird to me. I don't want to touch that issue, whatever. And then there are people who literally turn around, okay? There are people who then turn around and move beyond the default position and start making up their mind about trans people's existence being a bad thing, okay? That's what I call, turf brain. When you're like starting to get this weird brain disease, okay? Where you got trans on the mind, okay? You got girl penis on the mind. You can't stop thinking about it. Non-fucking stop. Some of those people, a big chunk of those people are chasers too, okay? It's not an accident, including Joe Rogan, including Alex Jones. A lot of those people love watching girl cock, okay? They love it. They love that shit, okay? While simultaneously they hate trans people. This is not surprising. It's kind of not that different from like all these racist motherfuckers who listen to rap music, but then like when it comes to the humanity of black people and black rights, they turn around and immediately are like, nah, fuck that. Like there's so many racist people that listen to rap music, you know what I mean, and enjoy rap music, but then they're like, when it comes down to like a black person, like recognizing a black person as a full human being, they can't do it. So, So basically, you start getting like you start thinking about it, and there's so much anti-trans agitprop out there. Okay, there's so much anti-trans propaganda out there that like people will make you feel comfortable about your icky feelings towards trans people, and will give you the talking points to start saying like to start appearing smart in your group of friends. Okay, so sometimes these people go down that rabbit hole and they find the talking points. So, and they want to feel like they're, doing something smart while they're simultaneously making themselves feel better about their opinions, because there is a sense of comfort that comes from someone who is appearing to be intelligent, from delivering information from a position of authority that tells you like your preconceived notions, your biases, and everything that you've learned your entire life is actually true. And the people that are telling you that it's wrong, those people that want to change society, they're bad and wrong. That gives you a sense of comfort and a sense of security. So then you turn around and you start further going down that fucking trajectory of just, hating trans people. It is what it is. It is really, really shitty. It's hard to undo, but I'll tell you this much. You will go fucking crazy. You will become like Dave Chappelle. Okay? And what I mean by that is like Dave Chappelle was a wonderfully funny, coherent, intelligent, just brilliant fucking comedian, a legend of our generation of comedians. Okay? He's so aware of the issues that he talked about. And, that's all comedy is at the end of the day. Comedy is about social commentary, analyzing, parsing through the weirdness of our existence, hyping up the contradictions, and showing it to you, okay? And then he was like, oh shit, trans people, like they fucked with me. They fuck with my bread. I don't like that, people just moved away from black men and are like talking about LGBT rights as though they're like, as though it's a zero-sum game or something, as though there are no, trans black people or some shit. And he's still funny for a lot of people. He's not funny for you. Yeah, he's funny for a lot of people because a lot of people are transphobic, like I said. But if you objectively try to look at his comedy, as I have, because I love him, I love him. I loved Dave Chappelle for a very long time. He's a very important comedian for me, personally. Okay? If you look at his comedy now, it's just all like an old man yelling about trans people. Like, he just can't shut the fuck up about trans people. He's constantly talking about trans people. And it sucks. It's like, it sucks because he doesn't understand it and he doesn't want to understand it. And he's just basically repeating 4chan poll fucking memes, helicopter. And that's it. And when you do that, when you're saying like trans women are just men in dresses, lol, the only people that are going to laugh alongside that are going to be laughing because they're agreeing with you. They don't, in that situation, they're not laughing because you just brought up a brilliant point. They're laughing because they just agree. It's doing this. It's the Hannah Gadsby for transphobia, okay? You guys know what I'm talking about? Nanette? At that point, you're not doing comedy. You're doing a fucking TED Talk, okay? And liberals love that shit when it's for liberal causes. I despise it. I've talked about this many, many times over. But Dave Chappelle is just Nanette for transphobia. He's just doing a TED Talk about trans people sucking. Okay? So if you find that to be funny and brilliant or whatever, you're just basically admitting where you're at in the world. No, Nanette is not good. It literally goes against everything I believe, okay? So no, I don't think it's good. It's an anti-comedy comedy special. Like, I'm never going to consider that to be a good thing. Anyway, but yeah, let's see what we had to say.
Most eye-opening things that's ever been done on this whole gender confusion thing that we're going through right now in our culture. And it was just like one of those things where I had to watch. Like, so many people were like, you have to see this. You have to see this. And I expected it to be like, I thought it would be like arguments with people, or it would be very, very confrontational, but instead, I think you did it masterfully. What you did is you just let these people explain themselves the way they would talk if you weren't there, the way they would talk to people.
But why are you removing the nuance between finding something funny and whether you believe in it or not? What? Bro, you can make funny jokes about trans people. I make funny jokes about trans people all the fucking time. Dave Chappelle has even actually made some funny jokes about trans people, calling trans pussy, beyond pussy, impossible meat pussy, okay? Like, that's packaged in between, like, just him straight up saying, I'm transphobic. I'm a TERF, okay? Like, that's the problem. That's the issue. The difference between someone being able to craft a joke about trans people versus just saying, lol, trans people are fucking weird, right? And like pointing at them is how much you understand the trans experience. And if you don't understand that experience, and this doesn't, just stop focusing on this as just a trans thing, because it's basically a universal value. If you can't comprehend the subject matter that you're covering, you're not going to be able to make really interesting and actually funny, insightful jokes. Okay? It's just that simple. That's the difference between Dave Chappelle making jokes about black culture and black existence in America and like some racist shock jock saying, lol, black people are this way or black people are that way. Am I right? Black people drive like this. Like, that's the main difference. One is an outsider who does not understand the black existence, okay, just pointing the finger at black people and reinforcing usually, racist tropes, okay, versus the other person is a black person who truly understands the experience and can craft brilliant narratives off of that. Okay? That's the difference. That's the difference between Steven Crowder and Dave Chappelle talking about black people. Okay? Damn, what the fuck? So many people in this chat like Nanette? Yes, of course. Why do you think they fucking despise humor? There are so many people who go, oh my God, no jokes. What the fuck? No jokes. How dare you? Yes, that's why they like Nanette, because they just don't like jokes. Just say you don't understand comedy, for fuck's sake. Yeah, dude, I don't. You definitely understand comedy more than I do, for sure. You have to know your subject matter to make fun of it is like pretty basic shit. Anyway, and it was just for a different demographic than you was on, and that's okay. Listen, the reason why I don't like Nanette is because the main point in Nanette is literally that even if you are talking about your own personal marginalization, people are ultimately making fun of that, and they're laughing at that. And that is something that I am entirely against, okay? Comedy can have a purpose. I believe, as far as art goes, comedy's specific purpose can be about communicating the existence of marginalization in a funny way to a broader audience that can also understand it, okay? Not only just for fun. I'm talking about something beyond that. Obviously, comedy is first and foremost for fun, for ha-has, okay? Nanette's entire point was, even if you're a lesbian and you've been hate crimed as a lesbian, don't talk about those experiences, because I realized, like, when I was making those jokes, people were laughing at me. And that's crazy. That's a crazy way to fucking approach comedy. You're just not a comedian. And of course, a lot of liberals that want to do this, okay? A lot of liberals that want to do this are going to do that. What a straw man. Okay, dude, whatever. Anyway. It's lip shit, but it's harmless? Yes, of course it's harmless. I just don't like it. Saying that I don't like it, saying that that's just a TED Talk that's anti-comedy, doesn't mean that, like, it should not be allowed to be said or whatever the fuck. You can like it. I don't. Okay? That's it. It's not a full indictment. After all, Hannah returned to comedy after it. You can still take a message from it, even though you don't fully agree with the show point because life goes on. At least that's what I took from it. Sure. I think it's funny and appreciate using a large platform to talk about lesbophobia and trauma. But yeah, it's an annoying lip take on comedy, which sadly a lot of people have gone through, because they're literally triggered non-pejoratively. Yeah. Anyway. How long until you become transphobic? It's only a time before you turn back to being transphobic. Is it only a matter of time before you turn back to being transphobic? Being phobic anything? Wait, what? Why would I do that? Like, I've been very open about having transphobic opinions originally and like learning from and truly understanding that I was wrong. Why would I? What? This guy got so horny that he was like, he couldn't even fucking type it out perfectly. Aren't you taking a piss on gay people now? The only gay person I've taken a piss on is your dad, okay? Because he asked me to last night after I fucked him. You understand? And he wanted me to let you know that it's the top of the fucking hour. And that you better be using his Amazon Prime account to connect to your Twitch account to get one free Prime subscription a month to avoid the top of the hour ad break. Because at the top of the hour, there's a 60-second ad break. If you no longer want to see those ads, all you need to do is subscribe, which you can do for $5 or you can do for free with a Twitch Prime. By connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account, you get one free Prime subscription a month. You can also get gifted a sub. Okay? Use it on your favorite broadcaster. Hopefully that's me. Are you purposely not talking about Aiden and Kai's transphobia because you want to keep them as friends? This would indicate that, like, I actually watched the Aiden and Kai broadcast last night instead of fucking raging and then on Valorant and then going to sleep. Making up my mind that I'm going to somehow secretly hide the truth about what they have said, okay? Which I still don't know. Purposely so I can maintain a relationship. Now, if you're a 22-month subscriber that has been watching me since for however many years, why the fuck is your brain so broken that this is like your approach to a subject? Or maybe I have no fucking clue what you are talking about. Don't just apologize. Reconsider why your first inclination in this circumstance, when you come into a community that you've been subscribed to for 22 fucking months, was there must be a different reason as to why something is not happening in the way that I thought would happen. Okay? Don't apologize. You're actually being a pussy. You were right the first time. That's the T-bitch W comment. Yeah. And of course, there are going to be still plenty of fucking brain-broken losers that legitimately do think that that is what is going on. That's crazy. Here, take a timeout. Actually, you know what? Take a 5-minute timeout. Dude, that chatter just trying to do a leg up on you and trying to act more moral than you? Yeah, it's crazy. Anyway, I forgot to run the ad break. Here's the 1-minute ad break now. Nah, he's allowed to ask, though implying, yeah, no, of course he's allowed to ask. But the idea that like there's a difference between, hey, have you seen this video? Take a look at this versus why are you hiding the truth? Is it because you want to maintain a relationship with these two people? Is fucking insane. Like there's a difference between those two things. Can you elevate Mastodon, please? I don't care. We'll look at that in a little bit. They're trying to get a come get your mans on your coworkers law. Can I just fucking finish this? Can we just watch this video? Is it your transphobia resurging law? Yeah, literally. That's what he said. How do you get your haters to give you $3? I don't fucking know. It's just like how you didn't call out Trainer XC for their gambling because you wanted to keep them as friends. Yeah, you know me famously. Anyway, we'll look at it in a second.
People who agree with what they're saying. And by not pushing back, I think you allowed them to let all the crazy out. And it's like, it's hard to describe to people that aren't aware of what's going on, of how wild this stuff has gotten. But first of all, tell me, what was the process of making this? Like, how long did it take? What was the motivation behind it?
Yeah, thanks for talking about it so much on your podcast, by the way. It's been a huge boost for us. And we, I had this idea. You'd really have to go back several years because it occurred to me maybe back in, 2017 that when this transgender stuff was starting to really gain mainstream traction, which I think happened really, that was like maybe when Bruce Jenner became Caitlyn Jenner. That was the moment that I think it exploded onto the mainstream. Not when it began, but it exploded onto the mainstream. Right around that time, it sort of occurred to me that the people promoting this stuff have a problem, which is that we're supposed to accept someone like Bruce as a woman, but then what exactly does that mean? What are we accepting him as? Like he says, I identify as a woman. Well, what are you identifying as? What are we, if you're a woman, well, I know what a woman was before, but if now we're including a guy like Bruce.
I'm going to be honest, I don't think you did. I don't think you did. That's cap. That's just what it is, It's like, I didn't know what a woman was. I thought I knew what a woman was. It's like, why are they making something so understandable complicated? It's on purpose. He's being purposely obtuse in order to draw home a larger narrative, which is that, that he just finds it confusing. Because a lot of people do. Because of social conditioning, okay? He knows a lot of people find it confusing, and that's precisely why he's covering it this way. He's like, oh, it's just like weird. I'm just asking questions. Like, no, that motherfucker's not asking questions. Okay? I think you underestimate how stupid he is. No, brother. That person is not fucking behaving that way. He has uncovered antiquated trans documents from like the fucking primitive accumulation period just so he can be more transphobic. Are you fucking stupid? These people like Ben Shapiro and Matt Walsh know more about trans shit than fucking trans people do. They literally are like at the cutting edge of trans news. They're straight up every day. They're like Googling what's happening right now with the trans community just so they can be more transphobic. Come on. They talk about trans shit more than trans people do, bro. What the fuck? It's his bread and butter. His bread and butter is just like constantly fucking shitting on trans people. It's like at its most, okay? It's occupying such a gigantic space in your fucking mind. It is so deeply unhealthy. Okay? It is so incredibly unhealthy to just like constantly think about anything this much. If you were this obsessed with anime, I'd tell you, dude, you need to fucking dial it back, okay? Anyway, that's the goal though. And it is mental illness. Like, I think it straight up is mental illness. When you're so obsessed with trans people that like your entire life revolves around shitting on trans people and like finding the newest thing that is happening in the trans community just so you can like, shit on trans people better. It's crazy. You're not normal. You need help. Like, it's breaking your brain. For him, there's also a second component here. He's making money off this. This is his bread and butter. This is how he makes money. For someone like Dave Chappelle, it kind of ruins his comedy. Like, he puts out 3 or 4 more specials constantly just ripping into trans people, I don't think that he's going to have the same fucking audience that he already had. I don't think he's going to maintain the same audience like that he had unless he switches away from that. As far as like, is it so difficult for you to understand a simple scientific fact and just realize and admit to yourself that trans women are not actually women? Not saying that you are. Okay, so you are utilizing 2 different fucking concepts and merging them together. Womanhood and gender is a social construct that we have decided off of contextual cues, right? We look at a person, they got titties, they got long hair, they don't have like a fucking beard, right? And we're like, oh, that's probably a woman, okay? That's just it. That's how it works. That is not the scientific process. As far as the scientific process goes, okay, which you have no fucking clue what it is, okay? As far as the scientific process goes, that's not how you comprehend whether someone's a woman or not. There are a million examples that I have shown time and time again of trans people that you don't even know that they're trans, that you would never point to as a trans person, like that you would never point to as like the opposite gender that they are, okay? Like Buck Angel. And I'm not even like I'm not like a trans medicalist or trust scum or whatever the fuck, but like as far as the entry point goes into this conversation, there are so many examples of people that completely break your comprehension, break your understanding of what gender means. I mean, come on, little bro. We know you aren't that nefarious, or trans takes weren't great since the beginning, but if you make a wrong move, it'll be really bad for your look in the WL community, especially if you come off as a goblin with a virtue signal approach. Might have to ask Big Uncle to help out with connections to this new generation. Dude, I think I despise, straight up, I despise motherfuckers that think they know better than I do. Like, that come in here and just like when people come in here and just like pop off like, bro, I know better than you what your intentions are. It's just like, you don't. You're a fucking loser at home. You have no idea. Like, who the fuck is Big Uncle? Holy shit. Anyway. I think the concept, the gender binary is based on binary sex, which in itself is a flawed concept. Yes, there is also the existence of intersex people. So even the biological gender, which is sex, right? Even on the biological front, it is not as rigid as people previously understood it. But also, I do get it. Like, I get why it's a confusing subject matter, okay? Especially when you're first trying to understand it, you're like, what the fuck? What do you mean? Like, I get it. I've been through it. I personally went through that, okay? A lot of people in here went through that as well. As a matter of fact, a lot of people, quite literally, that are now trans, like came out as trans people, were probably some of the most avid fucking transphobic people, okay? There are so many examples of this. There's going to be more agitators since the midterms? Yeah, probably. The issue with this conversation is that it is not as simple as the way people make it seem. But then also on the left, or in empathetic circles for the most part, or pro-trans circles, sometimes people do make it seem like, oh no, it's supposed to be super easy. Why don't you get it? You must be nefarious. As though they themselves didn't fucking have that exact same perspective not that long ago and had to unlearn that shit and relearn it so they know what it actually is, so they know what it's about. And that's frustrating as fuck too. And that really pushes people away, especially when the overwhelming majority of Americans in general are transphobic. They just are, and everybody knows this. All right? And this extends to whoever the fuck. If you're going to like point to Kai and Aiden or whatever, I haven't seen what they've said, but it's not shocking. It's not surprising. As a matter of fact, you know what would be surprising? If they were like, nah, I'm fucking super pro trans people. What the fuck do you mean? That would be surprising. I'd be like, holy shit. And you would feel that way too. You'd be like, what the fuck? Aiden, who literally said, I'm a supporter of the LG community, okay? Turning around and just being pro-trans, you'd be like, what the fuck? Where did this come from? So why are you acting surprised? Who isn't? Like, what do you... Trans people understand and recognize the reality that when they get into a fucking Uber, the Uber driver is probably transphobic, okay? When they're getting up to the fucking cash register to purchase something, the person is most likely transphobic. Everyone is. It's the sad and really scary and really awful reality for trans existence. We try to do our best here. We try to make it as safe as possible. But that is the reality. And there's so many fucking influencers out there who promote this shit, okay? And other influencers, before you say they're influencers though, okay, about Aiden and Kai, it's because the social conditioning across the board is already slanted towards transphobia. So, of course, Aiden Ross or Kai or whoever the fuck is going to have some level of transphobic beliefs, okay? Are you trans? No, I'm not trans. And Apollo Nor, you are correct. It's literally better for you to maintain a good relationship and try to shift their position. This is the main impact on this platform. How don't they get it? You won't change them by being a dick about it. They're like 22 years old. Yeah, I know. But you're talking to fucking tender queers and people with a lot of like very jagged perspective, like edged perspectives that don't want to fucking understand that, there might be a different method of changing people's minds in an empathetic fashion. Hi, trans man here. You're transphobic because you're wasting precious time. You could be dunking on Matt Walsh. I know. Well, chatters are going crazy.
Bruce, then what is a woman now? And so I started asking this question. It was really basic, just like, what is a woman? What are you trying to say about womanhood now? And couldn't get anyone to answer it. I mean, and mostly it's just on Twitter, and challenging someone on the left. Just give me a definition. What's your definition of the word? And none of them would do it. So at a certain point, I thought, well, we have to find a way to go out and put this question in front of them. And that's sort of where the idea for the documentary came from. And we knew going in that we wanted two things, well, three things. One is we have the mission behind it, the message that we want to get across. But we also want it to be a piece of entertainment, because a lot of conservative documentaries, not all of them, but many of them are just, you feel like you're watching an extended version of a podcast or something. It's not a piece of entertainment. So we wanted it to be that. And then we also knew that the way this is going to work, if it works at all, is if I'm just asking questions. Because if it's me going on a tour around the country yelling at people, that would be satisfying for me emotionally, but it just wouldn't.
I love that he admits that. Like, he would be satisfied yelling at trans people around the country. Like that would be a satisfying thing for him emotionally. I wonder where all of this perspective is coming from, where all this resentment is coming from. Oh, wait, that's right. This motherfucker is straight up, he's got turf brain, okay? It's a brain disease. It is a mental illness. It's not in the DSM yet, but it will be eventually, okay? There's no other way. I've been tracking transphobic motherfuckers for way too long. I'm telling you, there is literally a spectrum of being transphobic. On the one side, you have like normal transphobia. Everybody has it because you're like, oh, the gender is sex is the same thing. What the fuck's going on? Don't tell me anything different. That's all I've learned, okay? Pink is for girls, blue is for men. That's how this works. What the fuck? Don't play with the G.I. Joes if you're a woman. Don't play with fucking Barbies if you're a man. Right? That's like all conditioning. That's all social conditioning that you have learned since birth. Okay? So like there is the regular stubbornness that comes from that. Okay? And then the more you move on the fucking spectrum, the further you go towards like leaning into the transphobic takes, because it gives you comfort, because it makes you feel like the world is not changing in ways that you cannot comprehend, right? And that signals to you that you are going to die soon, right? Because for many people, that is what that is, okay? That's why people are afraid of change. If we're going to think about the philosophical reasons as to why people are afraid of change, is because when change is happening and you cannot comprehend that change, it's signaling to you that the world is changing around you and you can no longer comprehend it. You're getting closer and closer to death, and the world looks very different than the way that you existed in it. Okay, it's just a reminder of your mortality. And everybody has this. So, of course, the existence of trans people, or at least like the recognition of the existence of trans people, because trans people have always existed and will continue to exist, whether you push them aside or not, or try to, force them into shadows, try to get them to commit suicide or not. They still do exist. The way to look at this, regardless of your perspective on the matter, the way to look at this is through empathy. Okay? That's what you're supposed to do. Just your starting point should be empathy. Just let trans people exist. Who cares? That is where your starting point should be. Okay? Because that's all trans people want to do. There is no additional conspiracy. There's no like transing your children. None of that. Is just, they just want to fucking be normal and they want to coexist and cohabitate the spaces that we're in without constantly, looking over their shoulder thinking that someone's going to fucking destroy them. Okay? Also, when he got real genuine, and from that one professor, he just cut up his genuine, thoughtful response on what is a woman. He's a clown. He wasn't looking for an answer. He was looking for justification for his bias. Yes.
It wouldn't prove anything other than what people already know, which is that two sides yell at each other. So we wanted to give sort of gender ideology a chance to hang itself by its own incoherences, which I think is what happened.
I think you definitely
Yes, dude. The more this issue is, one of the main talking points with the psychos on the right, the more your trans friends need you to be there for them. Standing up for your trans friends is not just the right thing to do; it is powerful. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy not to. Oh, Adam is here already. Speaking of trans people, we got a trans ally, trans defender that's here. Gotta open the door for him. Joe isn't even hiding his alt-right ideology anymore. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Adam Conover's here in the building. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I'm live already. I'm live and talking about trans people and Joe Rogan. Two of your favorite subjects. Something you have personal experience with. Yeah. Give your guests a nicer chair, Hassan. I could do that. I have no issue with trans people. They can live normal life, but I will admit that I've always struggled when someone claims gender is a social structure when I truly think that it is far from the whole picture. Yeah, you think that because you've misunderstood how gender works. It is a social construct. What you are confusing is the difference between gender and sex. And even sex in the way that you understand it is not as binary as you think it is. Like, no one on the planet is seriously saying that a trans woman has the same biological components as a cis woman, okay? Trans women are not saying this, but they are still women, okay? That's just how it works. It is so strange that, like, I feel like conservatives make it feel like they put this thing out in the energy. They throw this energy out there. They throw this idea out there as though, like, you know, trans women and cis women have like the same chromosomes or whatever the fuck. And it's like, well, some might actually, as a matter of fact, but that's not how that works. Like, no one is saying that. Oh yeah, you can sit down whenever you're here. You're good.